What would you say if I told you that a single film could change your whole perspective on a classic character and his culture? The first Joker movie did this and left the audience mesmerized, wanting to talk about this for days on end. It won significant appreciation in regard to its disturbing portrayal of the infamous villain. Now, with the overdue sequel lurking in the not-so-distant future, I think it's time to go into what Joker 2 has to offer us. In this video, we shall illustrate the plot of Joker 2, including all the twists and turns, and do an unbiased evaluation at the end to see if the body of work can overshadow that of the first one. We will break down all important aspects, such as the key elements in the story, character developments, and the impact of the movie as a whole, etc. So, kick back and grab some refreshments because it's time to jump into the universe of Joker 2. Path of Joker 2, formerly known as Joker Foley 2, takes us back into the world that we saw in the very first Joker film and goes a step further. The action takes place in Gotham City in rather a dark and gloomy setting. The events of this movie begin a few years later, in the first film, when Arthur initiated chaos in the streets of the city. Gotham is still coming to terms with the aftermath of his growing notoriety. There are still many tensions everywhere in the city. The film features other characters, such as Arthur Fleck, played by Joaquin Phoenix, who attempts to fit into a normal society that has largely ostracized him. There is also support from Lady Gaga, who portrays Harley Quinn as an important influence in Arthur's life. It is a fascinating relationship, because even as a psychologist attached to Arthur, there is romance, danger, and everything else within their dynamics. As the story progresses, a number of pivotal moments in the plot can be observed. Particularly, as the plot details unfold, one of the most interesting developments is Arthur's bonding with Harley. Quite a dangerous prospect, as it always leans towards madness. Such relationships are bound to break some sort of boundaries and exhibit love intertwined with madness. The movie delves into Arthur's psyche as he tries to make sense of all the chaos, but at the same time tries to cling to a new feeling for a woman. There is also emphasis on how the past of Arthur impacts his present and some of his secrets that inform his actions. The film concludes with an unexpected ending that forces the audience to think about the nature of the world and its moralities. Arthur Fleck's character arc in Joker 2 is both fascinating and sad. The first movie depicts him as a very lonely man with mental health issues who later becomes an agent of chaos and an activist. In the next part, Arthur still endures this change, but a little bit differently this time. Through Harley Quinn, he learns how to love and also adopts each of their darker aspects. In a quest for love, Arthur the Joker begins to lose himself, making the character more complicated than previously thought. Especially in the development of Arthur's character, Harley Quinn as a new character plays an important role. Enriching the saga of Harley, she simultaneously expresses the warmth of the character and the inner conflict of the man. Their bond helps Arthur manage his feelings, though it drives him only deeper into madness. The narrative doesn't stop at building up Harley. She suffers as well, and her reasons for it are intertwined with Arthur's. In addition to this, there is a certain hyper-reality present in these films, acted out by the characters, which in turn makes it uneasy for the viewers. Joker 2 tries to address various complex themes that were touched upon in the first part of the movie and incites within the audience feelings of empathy towards different groups of people. The most notable of the major themes is the attention to mental health. The film showcases how individuals with mental disorders are often ignored by society, which results in deadly consequences. From Arthur's experience, there is a need for kindness and help, as it shows how the tough times in one's life may lead to dire situations. Another theme is the nature of love and relationships. The dynamic of their relationship explains how love can, on one hand, be the most empowering force in life, while, on another hand, it can also act as a force that leads to self-destruction. They are obsessed with each other, hot and cold and passionate, and plug in the tensions, frenzies, and storms of emotions in every relationship. Such complexities compel one to think about the meaning of love inasmuch as there is so much anguish in the world. As compared to the first movie, Joker 2 further investigates relevant social themes. While the first film was an emotional journey about loneliness and the search for oneself, the sequel develops the same ideas and explores the influence of relationships and decision-making instead. The film invites us to reflect on how people act and what results follow from these actions when we go through our own life events. To summarize, Joker 2 is not only interesting, with its string of surprises and character development, but also has themes which are likely to appeal to a wide audience. Arthur's character, relationship with Harley Quinn, mental disorder and love make it vividly engaging and rather insightful. When viewers emerge into this enticing yet gloomy world, their minds are still haunted by questions regarding people and the consequences of not being able to care for them. It is seen that Todd Phillips has a lot of courage and determination in directing Joker 2. The particular vision makes it interesting as one can view the world from Arthur Fleck's perspective. Phillips manages to combine issues of a rather gloomy theme with redeeming core pillar emotions. He is also the screenwriter of the film and does well at telling a story. It addresses Arthur pinpointedly where he is shown being victimized by society and taken to the brink of elimination. Every piece of conversation seems to be on point and expands the understanding of viewers regarding the characters. Such a combination of direction and writing contributes towards the development of a compelling plot that makes one stick to the screen throughout the film. Joaquin Phoenix is brilliant as Arthur Fleck. His portrayal is both sublime and tragic. Here, Arthur's pain and mental distress slowly unfold in every scene, through the projection of Phoenix performing living in the world as Arthur. He perfectly demonstrates how one would become a madman, at the same time trying to make the viewer sympathize with this person, even though all his choices are so wrong. Even the additional actors have done such a great job. Every single performance, such as from Arthur's character as he interacts with his mother to other characters, makes it interesting. Their acting helps the audience to create such an environment that helps the feelings of the film sink in. Visuals and soundtrack. The cinematography in Joker 2 is astounding. The colors and style present the dark and shaggy side of the Gotham City, which echoes his character's psychological problems. Constructing each shot is a work of art, with the deployment of moods and suspense by selective use of lighting and coloring. To explain his use of close, Arthur is able to project his feelings through such close interactions, pulling the viewer into his realm. The music and sound effects are very effective in courtesy of the film's ambience. The continuous background music used significantly supports the visuals, taking the emotional scenarios to another level. Sound effects are instrumental to the storyline as city noises. Loud laughter and havoc provide some scope of Arthur's disordered existence. All in all, the way direction, acting, visuals, and sound come together makes it such a powerful film that one cannot forget easily. Although Joker 2 picks up from the strong structure of the previous installment, the plot contains several shortcomings. Chief among them is the lack of coherence in the storyline. Andre was attempting to illustrate the issues surrounding mental health and the consequences of social isolation. However, as a film, sometimes it gets lost within itself. It is pretty straightforward to outline the basic plot outline of the first part. Joker 2 wanders at some points, making the audience lost about the evolution of the story. There are particular scenes in the film in which major plot developments are abridged or half-explained, and therefore render it quite hard for the audience to feel the story. For example, the film seeks to explore more than one theme at the same time: identity, vengeance, redemption, but does not manage to bring them all together as one. This disinclination to remain focused may be responsible for this perception, where the onus for the success of the second film is to make the audience feel like the first film, yet the story is not able to break out of very typical arcs. While Joaquin Phoenix is back as Arthur Fleck, certain traits of this character seem dull. That is in comparison to the first part. Arthur faces some new hurdles, but there doesn't seem to be much of an expansion. He is torn between flashes of genius and episodes of muddle, which in some ways can be fun, but in the long run leaves one wishing for more. The worth of their presence is of little help since the audience feels that it is not necessary to introduce new characters like possible friends or enemies. These include characters that are intended to enhance the story as opposed to being unnecessary. This diminishes the effect of the narrative, making it more challenging for the audience to relate to the characters and their challenges. At first glance, the film seems quite ambitious. Joker 2, apparently since its themes reset the orthodoxy of the film about societal decay and mental health for the society of the Joker. It, however, tends to be slightly too preachy at times. There is a need to put emphasis on such serious themes, however. The film occasionally lacks that subtlety, which renders the messages more felt, making them resonate well with the audience. There were also instances in some portions wherein the film put out its fingers and explained what the subject matter was aiming for, instead of letting the viewer conclude freely the pieces. Some audiences may turn off from such dialogues, as there are such requirements that the author delicately builds in the narrative. This has led to both defenders and critics of Todd Phillips's style of directing. On the one hand, he does manage to conjure an oppressive and dark atmospheric feeling. On the other hand, some of the decisions can be classified as rather odd. For example, some of the scenes that protrude such as this could be considered excessive and take away from the ambiance of the film. Also, there are places in the film where the cut gets abrupt and choppy, and so does the pacing. When that happens, let me tell you, it is not good. These choices may create starkly different responses from the audience, where some will appreciate the level of risk-taking, others will find it difficult to concentrate. By the end, if the viewer is to make inferences about and reflect on the statements in Joker 2, it becomes apparent that this sequel has quite a number of lapses compared to the original. The first film's story was well told, the characters went through development, and the audience went into emotional contact. Instead, Joker 2 has been filled with problems that should have been avoided in that and other potential sequels. Although this is largely relevant, it is also all too repetitive of what has already been done, without any follow-through that would make the experience as satisfying as it was in the first film. Nevertheless, there are sequences in Joker 2 that are civil and magnificent, only that the context of the film does not make use of these great moments, arguing that the audience would be satisfied with the dynamic inadequacy of the first film. What are your comments about the Joker 2? Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more MCU videos. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.